bigger than you, and you are not me. The lengths that I will go to, the distance in your eyes. Oh no, I said too much. I set it up. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion, trying to keep up with you, and I don't know if I can do it. Oh no, I said too much. Haven't said enough. Thought that I heard you laughing. Thought that I heard you sing. I think I thought I saw you try. Every whisper of every waking hour, I'm choosing my confession, trying to keep an eye on you, like a hurt, lost and blinded fool. Oh no, I said too much. I set it up. Consider this, the hint of a century. Consider this, the slip that brought me to my knees. Failed. What if all these fantasies come flailing around, and now I've said way too much. I thought that I heard you laughing. I thought that I heard you sing. Ooh, I think I thought I saw you try. But that was just a dream. Try, cry, why try? That was just a dream. It was just a dream. It was just a dream. That was just a dream. Try, cry, why try? That was just a dream. It was just a dream. It was just a dream. It's just a dream.
Good evening and welcome to the Expressions Digital Director's Cut featuring Amber Rubarth. I'm Andy Piak, the show's producer. And while it may look like I'm broadcasting live from WSKG Television Production Control, I am very proud to announce that we are actually in the brand new WSKG Digital Studios. How about that? Yes, I got a fancy new microphone and a green screen, and tonight we are going behind the scenes of our latest Expressions episode. Let's get that background back. Yes, this episode featured a dynamic performance from Amber along with cellist Dave Egar and Max ZT on the hammered dulcimer. We're going to learn all about the musicians that were featured on the program and show you performances that were cut from the broadcast episode. Now, if you missed the program when it premiered, you'll have a chance to view it following this live stream when we provide a link in the chat box. Now, you can also use the chat box to ask a question about the Expressions program or to any of our musicians, and we'll do our best to answer them all in the next hour. I think it's time to bring in the very talented duo of Amber Rubarth and Max ZT. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hi.
And thank you for another tremendous Expressions performance. Amber, this is your second time on the program. And I have to ask, well, first, we should mention Dave Egar was hoping to join us tonight, the third-year trio. But Amber, can we explain why maybe Dave has a legitimate excuse as to why he might not participate this evening?
Yeah, he's out in Europe on tour right now, and I think it's about 1 a.m, and he was going to try to come, so he might still pop in at some point, but he also might be sleeping or playing.
we our crack technical staff is going to be behind the scenes to see if Dave steps into our green room or not, and we hope obviously to get to talk to him, and even him willing to appear after a show in Europe is very exciting. But Amber, as I mentioned, this was your second appearance on Expressions. Your first appearance came back in 2013, almost like 10 years to the day. And so I have to ask, that first time you were brought on, as part of the Dave Egar Quartet, like what were the differences in the 2013 performance and this past performance?
Yeah, they were such a different vibe. The quartet was a beautiful thing where everything was very arranged, and all the songs were arranged with a quartet playing live, and it was just gorgeous. And it felt a little bit more like a string performance. It was really, I'm always moved by getting to play with strings, and especially beautiful arrangements like always happen with Dave. Because it feels kind of like you're like moving with the body of water. Like it's not as much that I'm leading something, but more that you're like all connected in this beautiful space all together. And with Max and Dave and I, when we just did the recent one, it's much more, it feels like 3 equal parts that are, pulling out and pushing back at different moments, but that like all 3 of us have a real kind of equal sort of spotlight on us.
Well, Max, was this your first time appearing on a television stage like this?
Not my first time, but first time with Amber and Dave here, and so that was a real pleasure. And I think Amber kind of hit it pretty much on the head. Like with this ensemble, it's such a joy to play because we all, I think, listen quite well, and we can come in and come out, and we all have a lot of trust. So if I'm coming in strong, they're like, oh, okay, this is a nice Max moment, and then they can like back off. And then if Amber's stepping forward, you can even like tell in the smallest of like body movements. Even we're just like, that means something. We've been playing long enough so we can pick up on those things, and then we can kind of step back. And it's been an amazing experience to play with these, and then doing it live. Even just listening to this right now, I was like, wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, the other thing about this show, which I'm just remembering as you're saying that, Max, is that we had not played in, I think, like 3 years together, and Max had just flown in the night before and came up. We drove up, and then Dave drove up that morning from Tennessee, and we hadn't even really seen each other in 3 years. So to have that amount of trust where we really got to just lean into each other again after not playing for 3 years. I don't know any other 2 people that I personally do that with.
That is not a common thing.
For sure, it's quite remarkable because when you take the whole set, there are so many times where you guys, obviously Dave's improvising on his cello, Max is improvising on his hammered dulcimer, but then with the snap of a fingers, out pops this gorgeous pop tune. Like it actually was a little difficult to edit the broadcast show together because we're just piecing parts from the entire. I think you guys probably played about an hour and a half worth of music, so I'm just trying to find the best parts that are going to fit in the half hour. But I think it turned out really, really well, and the fact that you guys like had no rehearsal and were still able to communicate that well musically, I mean that's quite amazing for sure.
Well, I think the pandemic kind of did a lot of. It was a catalyst for a lot of people's internal musical growth. I've seen it a lot throughout our colleagues. A lot of that, I think, stems from the isolation that we all had. And so there was this moment of just kind of everyone just being really calm and peaceful and looking inward and listening a lot more. I'm noticing that a lot more in my own self, and then also in the people I play with. So I don't think this could have happened 5 years ago. This happened now for a reason.
That's really interesting. So if not for the break in playing music, like a performance of this magnitude might not have even happened. I have to say, like, the best way, and we'll post a link for this in the end, but the best way maybe to listen to the performance is through the Expressions Director's Cut podcast, which just has the entire set for the most part from start to finish, including, the stage banter where you kind of go through the songs. And yeah, I do remember you mentioned at one point how much you appreciated going back to venues that you had played before, and obviously with musicians that you care so much about, because that was taken away for a little bit back in 2020. And like it was just such an earnest, feeling. And here we're seeing some clips of the performance that evening. I don't know if you want to talk to that. I don't know. It made me feel kind of nice inside that our WSKG studios could make a musician feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody had such a collective experience of something intense happening over the 3 years. I mean, so many different various experiences, but I think just that everybody experienced something intense for the few years, and then getting to come back together to do things that we didn't get to for a while. It feels like it led to more intimacy and more connection and more appreciation and gratitude for those moments, and for the, it's like it opens you up more because you in a little bit of a deficit from getting it.
Yeah, and that fourth wall gets removed as well, right? Because like this feeling of performer versus like listener, that's obviously still there. It's a part of it, but when it's when you have so much vulnerability, like those separators are more of a detriment than they are a support. So I think coming back to a venue, I won't speak for Amber in terms of coming back here to Expressions, but just in general, coming back to a place that you've been to before. I mean, it's there's no words. It's incredibly moving.
Well, I'm sure when you make your return appearance on Expressions, Max, you'll feel that way for sure. Can I ask how the three of you met to begin with? Obviously, Amber, you go way back with Dave, but I'm wondering how you guys folded Max ZT into the fold.
Well, I never even know that question. I think so. Dave and I played in LA a little bit ago, I guess earlier this year. And we had always wondered how we met, because we just kind of assumed that it was in New York because we both were living in New York for so long. And then we played in LA, and this woman came up to us and she said, "How did you and Dave meet?" And we were like, "We don't remember, probably New York." And then she said, "I introduced you." And she told us the story of it. And we actually met in LA. So everything is so fuzzy. I mean, I feel like people like Dave and Max, it feels also fuzzy with Max. Like I don't remember not knowing them. I just remember.
It was just, there was Amber, and then I don't know when wasn't there Amber?
Max or Dave. I mean, Max, usually that's what I talk about, when I talk about having my 3-year-old daughter. So I can, I definitely know how you, that's really cool. I mean, it sounds like to me, you've known each other like your whole lives, even if it hasn't really been that way. And
sometime I think we met through Dave. And we did a few tours. I think we had that Kansas City show, right?
The TEDx, yeah.
A TEDx show there. That was kind of early days. But Dave and we met just in the New York thing. He became my roommate, actually. So we were roommates for like 5 to 7 years. But he was the best roommate because he was always out of town. It was like, it was amazing.
But also he's a pretty busy dude.
we missed every single time you left. We're just like, oh, but now you're not around anymore. The bathroom is, more available, but the kitchen is more available, but now we don't get to play as much music together. So, it has positives and negatives.
Well, I had an interesting question. I mean, and I love this. You guys did such an awesome job too. You designed like this poster for our show, which I mean, thank you so much. And you even autographed this one, so I can't even imagine like how valuable this is. But I was wondering, and maybe some of our audience members could help us out. But if you guys had to pick a band name for your trio, like, have you ever thought about instead of like just using your names, like have you ever thought about coming up with a band name? And maybe some audience members can chime in with some suggestions for the three of you.
It's on you, Amber. You do all the words.
The reason
stuff.
we don't have one yet is because I have no idea.
Yeah, I do this, and you do the writing word things.
Yeah, I was better at like that poster that you just held up. I did the little drawings for it, and I think I'm not good with like things like naming things, but I'm good. I'll be able to visually represent it. So I can, if the band doesn't have to have a name, but it can have a picture, then I can do that.
I should have run it through like I know like the chat AI stuff is so popular now. I should have like programmed that in there.
Oh, yeah.
And seen like the suggestions that would have come up. It would have been like probably like lilting clouds or something peaceful. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's actually pretty good. I would go by lilting cloud.
All right. Well, I think it's about time we played one of the songs that we didn't have time for in the broadcast episode. For the Expressions recording in the studio, we'll usually divide the recording up into two sections, and this is the song that closed your first set, Amber. You might not even remember, because I do. I hope I'm not outing you guys. I remember about a half hour before the show, and I asked you guys for the set list, and they were in the green room scribbling it out on a napkin. So it was it wasn't well prepared. I don't know if you remember the song that you closed the set with, but it was from your 2008 album New Green Lines, Washing Day. I don't know if you want to give any background to that one. Obviously, it's a vintage song, almost 15 years old now.
Yeah. So Washing Day is one of the first co-writes that I ever did. And I wrote it with my dear friend, Adam Levy, who is a beautiful songwriter and guitarist. He was in Norah Jones' band for a long time, with Tracy Chapman, and just one of my favorite, if not my favorite, guitarist ever. And it was a rainy day in LA, and I wasn't really familiar with co-writes. So I guess normally like you would bring ideas to the co-write. We didn't know each other at all. We just met at a venue that he was playing at a few days before that. And so I showed up and didn't have anything. And he said, oh, I had a notebook that had all my ideas in it, and I left it in my pocket and put it in the washer. And so it's like nothing, like there's nothing left from it. And so I was like, let's write about that. So it's called Washing Day. It's kind of about, like the renewal that comes when you've lost, when you've lost something and you're letting go of things.
Well, I mean, as everyone is about to hear, it is a beautiful, beautiful song. And each time I heard it, I'm like, I can only imagine like what started, like who was behind this? Like, when did Amber's notebook, get washed in the ink? And it turns out it wasn't even your notebook, but that's okay. Like the thoughts behind the lyrics are very heartrending. And Alyssa, why don't we play that right now, and we'll get back to Max and Amber when that's done. Here's Washing Day.
walking past my lover's house, bitter taste still in my mouth. Too much whiskey, too much smoke. Last night's tears hang on my coat, but now the rain has stopped its fall. Streets shine like a mirror ball. Sun comes on, it's just enough. Watch the flowers waking up. It's washing day. It's washing day. Colors run and they fade away. It's washing day. It's washing day. Feel the threads like new again. Big machines all in a row. Mother with her child in tow. Change old paper for silver coins. Lose myself in all this noise. Wake up from a peaceful rest, counting down 1 minute left. Cotton stops its jog in place. I hold it warm against my face. It's washing day. It's washing day. Colors run and they fade away. It's washing day. It's washing day. Feel the threads like new again. What's this in my dungarees? In my back pocket, curled and creased. My old notebook filled with you. Our secrets now just streaks of blue. It's all a mess but beautiful. This emptiness, a gift I hold. I write a poem with you in mind, and then I leave memories behind. Oh, I leave the memories behind. It's washing day. It's washing day. Colors run and they fade away. It's washing day. It's washing day. Feel the threads like new again. I feel the threads like new again. I feel the threads like new again.
Oh, what a song! I mean, I have to say I'm glad that back when I used to have to go to the laundromat, my washing days were not quite as emotional as that song was, or none of my clothes ever would have been washed. Max, I have to ask, like seeing the hammered dulcimer. So this is the first time we've ever featured a hammered dulcimer on Expressions. I love it when I get to say that. How hard is it for you to like incorporate the hammered dulcimer into a song like that? I mean, obviously the song, I'm assuming, Amber, that when you co-wrote that song, hammered dulcimer was not in mind.
Amber
Yeah.
should have kept it in mind, you know. No, I mean, I think in general, and in this group especially, but in many, many times, it's important to recognize when the song is basically done without you even being there. You know, like if it was just Amber and Dave and I weren't there, that song would be gorgeous also. And so our job now is to what's called in musical terms called comping or complement. You know, I guess is more of a more expressive way of using that word, to complement what's happening already with the song. And so a lot of it is listening and recognizing like, hey, my role actually should just be small, little pitter patters coming in and out to kind of give more of a environment and not to overplay. My background is in a lot of different styles of music around the world, and many times it's forced me to overplay. It's because of this background of a lot of solo type of musical background. But now playing with people like Amber, people like Dave, it's important to kind of recognize like you can operate in a really specific space, and sometimes that's actually, you know, really what's best for the song.
That is great, and I want to say we're going to try something right now. Our first intercontinental guest on the Expressions Digital Director's Cut, Dave Edgar from the Netherlands. Is that correct?
Yes, listen, I'm so sorry. I got the time wrong. I thought I was so staying up till 2 a.m. because I was sure it was 2 a.m. and it was 1 a.m. and I missed it. I'm so sorry. And I'm actually in Zeeland, which is in the southern part of the Netherlands, doing mostly modern festival Netherlands and playing a lot of very bizarre, avant-garde, super fun music, and doing some kickboxing on the side. So it's been pretty cool. And I'm so excited I just love seeing Amber and Max too. Hi. Miss both of you very much.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. Yeah, we just played Washing Day from your performance at WSKG back in last October. I was talking about how Max incorporates his hammered dulcimer into the recordings. And Max, before we concentrate on Dave, I just have to ask, like, obviously hammered dulcimer is not one of the most, not one of the more popular instruments for people to play. I have to ask, like, how you even got started playing the instrument.
I saw it when I was really young, maybe around like 2 years old. And actually, I don't remember this at all, but my folks tell me that I crawled over or walked over and sat down right underneath the instrument and just kind of stared up at it. It's like, this is great. And I don't know this, but this is what they tell me. And then I saw it again later when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old at a folk festival outside of Chicago where I grew up, and just basically pleaded with my folks to let me try playing this thing. And here we are some 30-something years later and still doing it.
Well, no less a source than NPR has called you the Jimi Hendrix of the hammered dulcimer. I mean, that's like, is there any higher compliment for any musician than that?
I feel silly about that one because, you know, like Jimi Hendrix is amazing. He's one of my heroes, but and he completely changed, obviously, the guitar. But I don't want to be him. You know, I want to be the Max ZT of dulcimer. That's what I want to do.
Well, we appreciated you not burning up your hammered dulcimer at the end of the performance. That's for sure.
Me too. I appreciated that as well. I've been building them. Actually, I make these instruments now. I've been apprenticing them with David Lindsay in Oklahoma, and it's been since 2007. So I could burn it, and get away with it, but I probably won't do that.
Well, we'll save that for our outdoor show then,
Yeah.
if we're going to do that. Well, Max, why don't you talk about? I think right before we came on, you said that you have a new album that has just been mastered, and why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Had a couple projects come out. One that's just been mastered now with my group House of Waters. That's going to be released later this year on Ground Up Music. We're going to announce it in a little bit. And it features my wife Priya Darshini on vocals. The great guitarist Mike Stern. He's sitting in on a song, "Hang in the Air." He's just an incredible jazz guitarist. And then Antonio Sanchez is playing drums on the whole record. So it's a pretty killer lineup. I'm just very grateful to have it and be a part of it. And kind of like what we were talking about in the beginning of the interview here, the episode, a lot of the inspiration behind this is improvisation and thinking about trying to be in the moment as much as possible. So we did a series of improvisations in between all the compositions, the recordings, sessions for the compositions. So every time we would finish a take, we would go and do an improvisation and just do like a 3-minute improvisation. And eventually we did like 15 or 20 of them. We're not going to include them all, them on the record to kind of be a palate cleanser, if you will.
That's really neat. And anyone can go to Max's website for more information, and we're going to share a link to that website in the chat. We do have some comments from Washing Day. We had one listener say it sounded great. We had another listener say it was masterful songwriting and a brilliant performance. Love the way the textures of these instruments blend. And we actually had a comment from someone who was there at the taping with their 9-year-old son, and he said the performance was a treasure. The band is great, but Amber captures my heart with her words. So there you go.
That's fair,
Amber. So, all right, I think we're going to go. Dave, I'm sorry you just signed on, but we're going to play one more extra song, and then we are going to get to Dave. So, Dave, you can take about a 6-minute nap because we're going to play If I Fell Asleep, which is, just another gorgeous tune. Amber, I think you compared it to like how the caterpillar turns into the butterfly, the context of this song. And then it does end with an extended, I wanted to show the audience a little extended hammered dulcimer action. So we're going to take a look at that. So let's roll that. And then we come back, we're going to learn more about Dave and his adventures in Europe.
If I find my way back in, if I find my way back in, will you recognize my moonlit skin till I fall asleep again?
Look at Max just disappear into the sunset. Where else are you going to see an extended Hammer Dulcimer solo other than the Expressions digital director's cut? Amber, I don't know if you remember during the performance, but there is actually kind of a funny story that happened at the end of that song. Do you recall?
Oh, something happened. You're right.
Was it?
This is the one time all throughout the hour we've been talking about how in tune you were and how like despite the 3 years of not playing, you were so on the ball. But that was the one point where I think you guys wanted to segue right into another song, and you were supposed to tune your guitar during Max's interlude, and you say you told the audience you just got so lost in it that you forgot to do it.
Oh, I do remember that. That's what just happened just now too. Just even watching, I was like, oh, just like melt into a puddle.
It is.
The only bad thing about playing with Dave and Max is that I have no, I just.
I had that happen once, I think. Dave, do you remember that? We played some gig on the Upper West Side, some private thing, and I was asleep. You put me to sleep. Like I was sleeping.
I'm sorry.
You actually had to say, Max, to wake me up.
Wake up.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Like I was
Oh my
asleep.
God.
The biggest compliment.
Well, all right, Dave. Well, let's talk about your career for a little bit. This was your third. We've already gone through Amber's career on Expressions, and so this was your third appearance, I believe. I think you came in 2011, and then you brought Amber with you in 2013, and you came back last year. So what's been going on in the last 10 years? I could name all the famous acts that you've played with, but I'm not even going to do that because they're too long and famous to count. So I don't know. To just briefly go over your just an amazing career, if you will.
Oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. So yeah, up to when the world shut down, I was touring like quite a lot, kind of all over the world. I think the last really long tour I did was sort of a 3-ring event. I did a year with Evanescence, Lindsey Sterling, and with my duo project with Chuck Palmer, Cellogram, where we were opening, and I was in all 3 bands, and also sort of helping run the local orchestras that we did. So that was very exciting. And then the last couple of years, I've actually been mostly focused on remote recording. I have a studio, and people send me stuff, and I create orchestras, and it's like super fun and have a lot of big releases. I actually have a #1 song in the UK right now, Wish You the Best of Louis Capaldi. And I actually did all of Louis Capaldi's songs on his record. I orchestrated and arranged them with Chuck Palmer, and have a new release with BB Rexa coming out in a couple of weeks, which is very exciting. And we had a release with Jimmy Fallon this year and a feature with John Legend. And it's really, I feel very honored. I never thought my instrument, the cello, would take me to such cool places. And then one of the things I'm most excited about is I made this little record called Ourself Behind Ourselves Concealed, which is an Emily Dickinson quote. And it was the idea of myself and clarinetist Tasha Warren to create a record that would look at sort of unheard voices in classical chamber music. And so we collaborated with 6 composers, Paquito de Rivera, Martha Redbone, Natalie Joachim, Pascal Leboeuf, Mego Cora, and Cordelius Boots. And we created 6 works that live in between genres, in between jazz and classical. And somehow we ended up getting 2 nominations for Best Instrumental Composition in the Grammys this year, which was incredibly meaningful to us as a little indie record that didn't even really have a label. Or we were on this little Bright Shiny Things, very hip little label, but, you know, little engine that could. And to me, it really spoke to something I'm really seeing a positive trend in the Grammys towards looking towards more diverse storytelling in music. And I'm so glad that we had that support for our little record. And now we're playing it with all sorts of dance companies and the like. And right now I'm in Holland, which is super weird. Playing with mostly modern festivals, some very noisy music. And I met my hero yesterday, one of my heroes, which was so exciting. You guys may or may not know who this is, but her name is Frances Marie Wheaty. And she is about 80 years old, and she was the first major pioneer of avant-garde cello playing. She used to play with two bows and tear the cello apart. She plays a cello she made out of metal. And no one told me she was playing on the same festival as me. And I fanboyed out like nobody's business. I was like,
Wow.
she totally changed my life. And so I was so cool to see that at 80, she sounds amazing. And she's still just like the coolest person ever. So, and she actually knew who I was, which made me feel really, really cool. I was like, ooh. She's like, so like, that was my highlight of my trip so far. And
that is great. And congratulations on the Grammy nomination.
Thank you.
And I know you would make my mom happy because I saw you worked on Judy Collins' recent release as well, too, correct?
Yes. That was really, really special because it's a record that, I think, she really made it in such an organic way, and it's her playing and singing at the same time. And one of the tracks, City of Awakening, that I'm really proud of working on, we did several revisions on the arrangement. She really wanted the arrangement of the orchestra to capture like her when she first was 20 years old in New York and what New York felt like. And that's a beautiful, beautiful record, and really a huge tribute to her whole career as a songwriter. So yeah, it was incredibly honored to be part of it, and kind of intimidating too, Well, those level of songwriters, they've done it their whole entire lives, and they did it at a time when computers weren't fixing things. So they have a very, very high level of skill and musical ability, which is really amazing. So.
Well, it's just a testament to your playing that you're able to work with such a diverse array of, from folk artists, dating back to the early 60s to the number one record in the United Kingdom right now, Dave. That it's just amazing, and I can't thank you enough for still appearing on our show here in upstate New York.
Oh man, I just wanted to say that I've loved all 3 times I've been on your show. I love what you do and the way that you incorporate the live audience, and that you're really making bold choices and bringing, sort of reaching across genres and like bringing people together. It's just so important in music. Like, there's so much sort of genre segregation, and it's really time to sort of just break down the walls and just tell stories together. And I've just had nothing but amazing experiences working with you guys. And now I got to play with Max and Amber, my favorites. So this is super great.
Well, the way I look at it is you guys were here in 2013. You were here in 2023. So we might as well just plan on what we're going to do in 2033 right now.
Hopefully before then. That'd be nice.
Yeah, let's do it a little earlier than that.
For sure. For sure. Well, we do have one more extra song that I'd like to play this evening, and it's going to showcase Dave's one of Dave's unique ways of playing the cello. Here is the Maiden and the Ram. Hopefully, I'll get this song title correct.
Perfect.
And nobody plays the cello like Dave Agar. You always see things how they are. I always see them how I want them to be. When the night grows dark, you got your lantern filled up with kerosene, and I'm out wishing on a star, stubbing my bare feet, feeling my way around again. And I never see it coming, even when it came before. At that same exact time, through the same exact door, you've been planning your defense for every possible attack. You're fighting off shadows that would have just passed. It's how we get by. It's how we feel safe. You learned how to hold on tight. I learned to push it all away. Now I'm living in the woods. You're living high up on a hill. I keep my ear to the ground. You keep inside of what you built. You were born with the horns of a ram on your head. I was born a maiden in a wildflower bed. You never do what they say. I have a hard time speaking up. It served you to soften, and it served me to get tough. You're like a rock, you take your stand. I'm like a tumbleweed, I dance. We both make it through the hard times. It's how we get by. It's how we feel safe. start a fire. I learned to make rain.
There we go. Some expert cello playing. Excuse me. Geez, the hour must be drawing to a close because I can no longer talk. But just what a great performance. We still have a little bit of time remaining. If anyone in the chat has any more questions that they would like to ask the band or to me about the Expressions program, we'd love to hear them. Dave, you weren't here when I first offered this question, but we know you guys just go by their names, but what if you guys were forced to pick a band name? Do you have any ideas on what that would be? And I'll ask the chat one more time if anyone has any ideas they would like to proffer.
Wow. I think it would have to be some pun on the ridiculous number of strings that are in the band.
Okay.
like Max, how many strings does your dulcimer have altogether?
93.
That's like 97 strings. That's
97.
a horrible name. Amber is horrified by this concept.
Amber has guitar too.
Or the 103 strings, right?
103 with guitar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, wow. So yeah,
Which
103
sounds better
strings
than
is
97 strings, yet still not that great.
Still not.
yeah. All of
still
it's
not
terrible,
wonderful.
but it's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we have a goal before our next collaboration.
We got 10 years.
So, Dave, we saw you playing the cello like a guitar on that one. If we go back through the years, there we go. I got these pictures lined up. So there you are playing the cello like a guitar. We've also seen you, just regularly sitting down playing the cello. Oh, I think you might be standing on that one. That's another way. We have the sitting. And then, of course, my favorite, and this dates back to your 2011 performance, and I know you probably know what I'm going to show right now. It's where you're laying on the ground playing your cello. Do you still play the cello laying on the ground like this, like you did back then?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I
Excellent.
do it more often now, actually, and I love it. I think it's just really fun, an instrument that has been sort of physically restricted. I think it's interesting to make people. The reason that I'm theatrical with the cello is because it's been so untheatrical in a sense, and I think it makes people listen more. because they don't sort of go, oh, he's the cellist sitting in the chair. There's something. It's like the space is woken up a little bit in an interesting way, and I like that idea that we see it in a different space than just like sitting in a chair.
I loved when you would like spin it, because you got the little, you would just like spin it around a little bit, like play a note and then spin it around and play a few more. It was really neat. And
I'm kind of getting in trouble in classical concerts for doing that, because now I spin it like a habit, like it doesn't. And then I did it like in a very conservative classical format, and then I sort of realized what I'd done, but I hadn't meant to do anything cool. I just finished like a loud section, I like spun it around, and then I was like, oh, that was probably pretty weird. They probably were like, oh no, don't do that.
Well, at this point of your career, do you still get pushback from from cellists who don't like to see the instrument, being so flamboyant?
No, I not so much. I think that sometimes it's like I was just doing the Big Ears Festival in Knoxville, which is a really cool festival, and I got to play duo with Ben Sollee, who's this absolutely amazing songwriter cellist from Louisville, Kentucky. And sometimes I feel like cellists that are doing their own thing, we don't get pushback, but we do get kind of unseen a bit by the classical world. And it's always surprises me with my graduate students that most of the time they've never heard of Ben, despite the fact of him having a very large fan base and being someone that you'd want to check out. So there is a certain thing of kind of not sort of being seen outside the classical world in a funny way. However, I don't feel negativity necessarily. Not anymore so much. Maybe when I was starting out. Maybe I'm not being like extreme enough though. Like, I have to learn from Frances Marie Wheaty. I've got to like play a pedal cello.
Well,
her cello had a dent in it too. It was really awesome. It's like
we'll have to figure out a way where we can like lower you down from the light grid or something, like a harness, and play for a song.
Well, actually, Cellista, do you know that artist? Cellista, she's doing that now.
Oh, well,
and so and she's awesome, and I love her. So, but I may not have the acrobatic cello thing, but I've got my own tricks. We'll see
or yeah, we can incorporate your black belt skills into your cello playing, maybe.
I love it.
Well, do you guys have? We're wrapping up, but if you have any announcements of tours or albums, we've covered some of the albums. But if you guys have anything else you'd like to plug, now is definitely the opportunity for you to do so.
Sure, I just released a remix last week from my first solo record that came out last, I guess, on the 19th or the 20th, something around there. And it was remixed by the great Sun Lux, which is this awesome band who did the score for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's just an amazing, really kind of shows what they can do with this instrument. So it's pretty inspiring, and I think there's a YouTube link that you can all share and check it out.
Very cool. Dave, when are you coming back to the United States?
Next Monday. And yes, and then I'll be back. I'll be back for about a month, and then I do have a decent amount of touring coming up, which I'm really excited, just because I'll be opening for Crystal Gale and some other live dates that are pretty exciting. And yeah,
we have something, right, Dave, in September down.
Yes, we're doing Rhythm and Roots. Max has never done Rhythm and Roots in Bristol, and so he will be dulcimerizing.
Yeah.
Dulcimerating.
Some hammering, maybe not.
Yes.
We do have one suggestion from our audience about your band name, and it is Cruelly Noted, and he added guaranteed clickbait. So Cruelly Noted. We also have someone imploring Amber to come to the UK to tour. So Amber,
I'll be back there. I'm going to come back to Europe this autumn in October, November.
Hey, I'm going to be in UK in October, November.
Ooh, interesting.
We should play some shows.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be back there.
We have an offer. If you come to Cambridge, someone will sell the tickets themselves for you. So
I'm in.
Nice.
So there you there you
Very
go.
cool.
Love
So
Cool. I have also, I forgot to mention this, but I have a 15 song cover record that I recorded here at home, all by myself, playing everything and recording everything here in my house. That's just released the first song off of it, and there's a pre-order on Bandcamp, and it's coming out June 2nd.
okay, and I think we can post a link to that in the chat as well. And her covers are amazing. You've covered 2 Tom Waits songs that have made both episodes, and boy, they're just both out of this world. So definitely look out for that. And boy, I can't thank you guys enough for the Expressions performance. Joining me intercontinentally today for this interview, Dave. Thank you so much, and yeah, rest up and either head to the after show party or get some sleep.
It's 2 a.m. now. Yeah.
So
Thank you so much, Andy, for having us. And yeah,
Yes.
the Expression show is so special. We're so happy that we got to be a part of it, and it's just like it's a very memorable community that you've built there. It's really good.
I really appreciate that, and I can't. I already look forward to our next collaboration, whether it's in 2033 or 2025. We will definitely be in touch soon. You guys take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for everything.
All right.
Bye, guys.
And of course, a reminder that you can watch full Expressions episodes by visiting wskg.org/expressions, and a link to all of Amber's programs, both this one and her appearance in 2013, plus Dave's initial appearance in 2011, are being provided in the chat. We have quite the Dave Eggar extended musical universe coming to Expressions these days. And if you listen to podcasts, then check out the Expressions Director's Cut podcast. That's the only place where you can listen to Amber, Dave, and Max's entire set from start to finish. And again, look for a link in the chat or subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. I want to thank Alyssa Micha and Patrick Holmes for their behind-the-scenes help this evening, and also for getting the digital studio ready for tonight. I should also thank Vaughn Golden, Charles Compton, John Bell, Mike Micha, Chris DiRienzo, Michael Restuccia, and Seth Nichols for all their hard work as well. And as long as everything is still operational, we will be right back here next month talking with the Harper Studio Jazz Band from Binghamton University. Until then, this is Andy Piak. Good night.
Written in footsteps that crawl across the snow, written in memories that change each time they're told. All the answers I've been hoping to find are written in the water.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the New York State Education Department.